All right, we are back with Janet Phelan. Janet has been gone for a little while and is having under some troubles. And she is like I don't know what kind of analogy I could use, like a badger, a wolverine. I don't know, just clawing away and going forward while still dealing with things. And she's back with us live today. And welcome back, Janet.
Well, thank you very much, James. As you know, I got hit with one of these um,
You put your mic a little
disturbing.
closer, or it's a little quiet.
Okay. All right.
Oh, that's better. That's
How
better.
is that? I'm
That-
getting bounced back with my voice.
All right, let me look into it.
Mhm.
Well, go ahead while you're doing
Oh, okay. I was saying I got hit with one of these nasty uh, bugs that people can get in the undeveloped world that is almost absent in America, parts of the developed world. And I'm very glad to be back on the show. I'm glad to be enough now to be able to be back on the show. And my voice is just bouncing back. Drive me crazy in a minute.
it. All right, we'll get this in a second here.
Okay.
Actually, as far as I can see, it shouldn't be. Oh wait, I see what's going on. Hold on, and there we go.
Good. Thank
There we go.
Okay. All right. It's
Yeah,
stopped. Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Skype has a way of changing the inputs without my permission.
Shame on them.
Yeah. So tell us, what is
So,
what's on the mind of Janet C. Phelan tonight?
what's on my mind tonight is an article that was just published today by me. It is on the front page of New Eastern Outlook, entitled "As Goes Syria, So Goes the World." I've used that phrase before, I believe, on your show, trying to draw some attention to what could be the potential fallout and impact of this war in Syria at home. And what I have attempted to do in this article is to draw some connections between the domestic agenda of the United States and her foreign policy. And I'm looking at the domestic agenda through a particular lens. The lens is the lens of eugenics. And the article goes into a number of situations. Some of them have been already discussed by many people and are well known, and others are less well known. In terms of some of the eugenics history of the United States that has been well documented, we have the Tuskegee experiment discussed in this article. Those would be the experiments that the United States Public Health Department ran in Alabama, pretending to treat African American men with syphilis, however, leaving them untreated to see what happened to them. Okay. Once again, these experiments were run on black men. We also discuss. I have a message here that's saying my internet connection's gone down. So if you
No,
can't
you're there.
hear me,
We still see
okay,
you.
good. Okay. Also, the history of the United States in terms of sterilization protocols is also discussed in this article. Specifically, let's see, I think the first U.S. state to introduce compulsory sterilization of those deemed unfit was Michigan in 1897. However, it became quite the craze. 32 states followed suit, and 32 states total ended up with eugenics programs. I believe that California was known to have conducted the most sterilizations, and North Carolina was considered to have the most aggressive program of sterilizations, which gave mere social workers the power to order these. The North Carolina program was operational up until the 1970s, And according to reports coming in from California, people in county jails are still being compulsorily, why can't I say that word? People are still being sterilized against their wishes. So we have a history here. Actually, Adolf Hitler was apparently instructed in a lot of his ideas about eugenics from what's going on in America. So we talk a little bit about that history, and then we kind of move into some present day situations. One of these involves two institutions in Arizona, one Phoenix Children's Hospital and the other Translational Genomics Research Institute. And given the responses to Public Records Act requests, we have found that there are agreements between Phoenix Children's and this Genomics Genetic Research Institute to refer sick children with certain kind of genetic illnesses from the hospital into research programs at TGen. And we know from at least, well, we have several cases here, but the one discussed in the article has to do with a mother in Arizona named Melissa Deagle, who had some questions about when her children began to be referred from Phoenix Children's to TGen. And as a result of these questions, first her children were taken from her. Her two daughters who have a mitochondrial disease were taken from her and put into foster care. When Melissa Deagle reportedly realized that her children were not thriving, losing a lot of weight, wasting away in foster care, her parental rights were terminated by the court. So her children, Kayla and Hannah, are apparently now up for adoption. The worst thing that the court could say about Melissa Deagle was that she over-medicalized her sick children's diseases. Mitochondrial diseases is rather serious. Her children were having trouble eating, and the doctors had advised some procedures, which Melissa Deagle followed the doctor's recommendations. And because she questioned the drug trials suggested by TGen, she's lost her parental rights. There are articles about Melissa Deagle on medical kidnap, which I hope everyone here will read. Now, one of the interesting things about Phoenix Children's Hospital is even though we have obtained these records showing the relationship and the agreements between Phoenix Children's and Translational Genomics, Phoenix Children's continues to deny that they have patient referral contracts. Well, they contracts or agreements. They certainly have the agreements. So here we have what kind of looks like Nazi science, taking children away from good mothers and doing drug experiments on them. This appears to be happening in many other places besides Arizona. Another situation discussed in this article is the phenomenon of a unit at UCLA Neuropsychiatric Institute known as A-South. And there's a lot of information here about the kinds of human experimentation that was going on A-South. And I certainly, this is the first time this has been disclosed publicly. So I certainly urge people to take a look at the article to kind of get up to date on what these medical institutions are actually doing with ill people. Now, through the lens of this eugenics issue, and don't allow me to forget to mention adult guardianship, because this is a continuing concern that is so redolent of what Adolf Hitler did with elderly and disabled people. And the adult guardianship is an issue I've discussed many times on your show, how the elderly and disabled are being ripped away from their families, how their estates are being sacked and they are sent off to early graves. So we have all these issues going on now in the U.S. that scream loudly that there is basically a covert eugenics policy going on. And what this article has attempted to do is to look at what is going on now in the Middle East as an extension of that. And I'm not going to go into a lot more information here. I'm really going to encourage people to read this article. I think it's one of the more important articles that I have written. Once again, as goes Syria, so goes the world. So, any comments, questions, James?
No, you really put together, really, you know, when you do these things, you just come out and really hit it. So, people who have the Facebook accounts and whatnot can simply cut and paste the link. In fact, they probably allow you somewhere on. Yeah, I can see it already. You got Facebook. You probably can post it directly through the web page. A lot of places do that already. And you could
Right.
share this and pass the word. I will be doing that when I update my page. I've been going to Facebook a little bit because of a lot of people who've joined my page are from the show, listen to the show, and they have some interesting things to share. So I've been selectively making them public on my side. So it was kind of fascinating. I mean, I don't like Facebook at all. I mean, the whole way it's technically done and all that. And, of course, it's used for terrible things. But that's what freedom is. Freedom is the ability to do good or bad. And it's up to us to do the good, I guess, you know. And
Well,
go ahead.
a lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
A lot of these mechanisms for social media mechanisms have a double edge. So while we're able to share information, we also are aware that someone is watching, you know, what we're doing here. And so this is actually the double edge, the dual nature of the internet. So I think we should use it for all it's worth, personally. I want to make one more comment here. Someone has made a comment on the article that was posted by someone else on Facebook, saying that the article makes some pretty extreme claims, and I'm afraid that such broad-ranging allegations will dilute our cause. I like to stick to the basics when it comes to child protective system reform. And I'd like to just kind of address that. There are no claims, allegations that are not based in fact that are made in this article. And I personally think that we need to fearlessly and with great outrage, we need to face the facts of our collective plight. America is no longer America. The land of the free and the home of the brave has been taken over. And if we only focus on like a little corner of the issue here and there and put blinders on as to the larger impetus, then I don't believe it serves us well. I'm not saying people should not try to address Child Protective Services reform, that they should not try to address what's happening in adult guardianships, but they really, I think, it behooves us to be aware of the larger issues that are confronting us, and the fact that our country may be more like Nazi Germany than we ever could have imagined. So.
Well, I mean, I've been reading, as an aside, but it does apply. I've been reading the history of the world. Actually, I've been listening to it, actually. I have audio books. And I forgot the author's name, forgot her name, but I'm into the third book now, which is up into the Middle Ages. And I can sum up the entire history of the world in a number of sentences. These group of people oppressed these other people and made them slaves and made them rich, and they built armies. And then another group of people took over those people. And then sometimes the people who were oppressed revolted knocked out the other people. Somebody else got in, and maybe they were a good guy for a while. Then they died, and their kid gets put in is now king and slaughters all his children, his siblings. So there's nobody who can take it away from him. This goes on for centuries. And I'm listening to this going, this is the history of the world? That's the main history of the world. And here we are today. It's the same thing. There's a more civilized, if I can use that term really in a jest, face put on it. And you can come up with all kinds of baloney. But back in the days of crusades, they were called crusades for Christ and all this to free the Holy Land, and it was all about grabbing land. I mean, it's all a bunch of baloney. And so I'm looking at this going, that's all it's been. And so people are talking about revolution and all that. I'm like going, there's got to be another way. So I don't know what it is, and hopefully we will see it before I die. But it was kind of like both depressing and a light went on when I was reading those books.
Well, I think those are very astute comments, James. And I think you're absolutely right. Because, I mean, if you want to boil it down to like maybe even one or two sentences, it's like somebody else has the power and the wealth, and I'm going to take it away from them, and then I'm going to become them. You know, this is almost what the history is. You know, it's one power-hungry individual or group, you know, taking power and then their power being contested by another power-hungry individual or group. So, you know, I think the answer somewhere lies in tolerance, and I think that, you know, there is an enormous amount of intolerance being exhibited now by the U.S. government, not only towards people in, you know, faraway lands, but towards their own people. You know, when people get older and they become maybe more vulnerable, rather than just, you know, accepting and being tolerant of the fact that this is the aging process, what happens is they land on them like vultures, you know, and make their last days miserable, taking away everything they have, separating them from their families. This is not tolerance. And
the definition of evil, as I see it, I mean, this would be the ultimate evil, is not to beat the strong guy and become the strong guy. It's to pick on the weak. Children, I mean, you know, it's the old biblical term, widows and orphans. You know, you have the children and you have the elderly people and you have those vulnerable. That is the joy of evil, is to be able to do that. And we have right here institutionalized in the land of the free and the home of the brave, we have institutionalized, what's the word? Parasites and predators. Institutionalized abroad, a home. I mean,
I think goes to the core of the problem, because people who are predators apparently will stop at almost nothing. I wrote a poem recently that got published at Los Angeles Progressive, LAProgressive.com, called The Divine Right of Poisoners. And what I kind of focused on in that poem was how when you have people who will resort to poisoning the environment, you know, toxic dumping, when you have people who will resort to this level of disinterest in the welfare of other people and the land, then you've got people who are very difficult to confront or stop, because they just don't care. It's all about them. So really, I think, you know, if there is the war going on, it's a war between people who just don't give up bleep and people who do. And people who do can be seen by the predators as being, as their concern, their kindness, their charity can be seen as weakness. And this is, I think, you know, one of the problems of the human condition. What's the answer? I don't know.
Well, I have a theoretical answer. The question is, to solve this question is the answer. How do we rid ourselves from predators and parasites without becoming them. Because if you go out and mass extinct them, say you take a blood test for predators and say there's a 0.1% margin of error, and you wipe them all out to be safe. I mean, isn't that what a psychopath would do if he was threatened? I mean, we have to take care of them without becoming them, and that's the question.
Yeah, it is the question. And when you figure it out, James, please send me a personal message and let me know, because I'm at a loss here. All I know how to do is just keep on, writing, keep on trying to inform people as to what the issues are. But the fact is, the people in power don't care, and they have the technologies, to basically support their disinterest in our welfare and to hurt us badly if we care enough. So I guess this is a work in process, huh?
Yeah, well, we're coming to a head anyway. I think in the background you got like some kind of a planet or a sun. We'll take care of it if we can, to ultimately sterilize us from getting out into the rest of the universe. But anyway, all right, Janet, I appreciate it. We always have such great topics a lot of the time, but hey, this is the stuff that we got to know about, and I appreciate you doing this work. And you're under a lot of personal trials and stress in doing this. Many things aren't known to the public. I do know, and it makes me doubly appreciative of your work that you're doing, continuing and through your personal oppression as well. So God bless, and I appreciate it.
God bless you too. Have a great week. We'll talk soon.
All righty.